Hello there and welcome back to the channel. I was just as surprised as some of you might be to find out I own a Kenobi minifigure from every single era of Star Wars. We've been through it with Luke Skywalker and I'm only missing the Beach Luke from the Rebuild the Galaxy, which comes in the Dark Falcon set I hope to pick up later this year. But it turns out I've got a Kenobi minifigure all the way from Phantom Menace up to technically Return of the Jedi with some of the Force Ghosts we've been making. So let's take a look. But before we get to Phantom Menace, let's take a look first at my minifigure display. Well, these aren't all of my Star Wars minifigures that I've collected over the years. These are most of the named characters, all of the, I don't want to call them important characters. Everyone in Star Wars usually ends up being quite important, but these are our Luke Skywalkers, our C-3POs, our Ahsokas, and even the crew from the Mos Eisley Cantina. That was a Master Builder set, so I guess that's got some more importance. And then we've got our Mandoverse bleeding into Ahsoka and even Skeleton Crew just at the end. But it's looking a little unorganized. So that's why I want to take the time, go through most of these characters. Not all of them will have their own videos. Some of them already have videos like Luke Skywalker. And some of them, like Padme and Leia here in the center, are nowhere near being complete enough to have a video dedicated about. Maybe I can make some customs. But at the end of this video, I will also be showing off what I've swapped around. Mandoverse definitely needs some of the characters back on here and just organizing this display. So stay to the end of the video to check it out. We're going to start off with one of my favorite Kenobis in the collection, and it's not entirely because of the minifigure that this one's my favorite, but also because of the set that this figure came in. It came with Qui-Gon and Maul in a Duel of the Fates set that had a really fun mechanism where you could close the red shields, trapping the characters on either side. We do get back printing on this Kenobi. The Kenobi minifigure itself isn't that old, but I really like the fact that we've got that Padawan braid that could be used for a few other Jedi Padawans, especially an Attack of the Clones Anakin, for instance. And in case you didn't catch, this minifigure is from the Phantom Menace, which is our first on-screen appearance of Kenobi, though he does show up in a few earlier books and comics. Next up, we've got Attack of the Clones, my favourite Star Wars movie, and I've gone with the Kenobi from Kamino when he lands with his Jedi robe, as opposed to any of the other Kenobis, because Kenobi doesn't wear his robe a lot, at least nowhere near as much as we see in Attack of the Clones, so I think this minifigure does do really well. And although we don't have the hood printed on the back, so I guess Kenobi should probably be wearing a hood, I do like the printing on the front. I'm wondering if we should have got minifigure legs or a dress piece for this, much like the Emperor. The Emperor definitely needs a dress piece as opposed to minifigure legs, but I'm happy we're at least able to pose them and sit him in his Starfighter, which again is another model I've recently upgraded and built on this channel. Before we continue our prequel trilogy movies, we do get the Clone Wars, and Lego yet to make a really detailed, or haven't for ages made, a Clone Wars Obi-Wan. So the minifigure I have for Clone Wars is a custom. Now you could definitely add the Revenge of the Sith head and hairpiece to instantly upgrade this Kenobi minifigure. I really like the arm printing and just the full 360-degree printing. It's very, very different to Lego. If all the minifigures were like this, well, they just wouldn't be minifigures. This is closer to action figures as opposed to the detail that Lego go with. But there is something really nice about seeing the robes sticking through on the left and right hand side of the torso, which is something you really don't think about when you're looking at a Lego minifigure. We do get the arm detailing. If this was Lego, we'd probably just get the logo on the left arm because the right arm doesn't have any extra printing. But until we get an official version from Lego, this minifigure is representing the first 6 seasons of the Clone Wars. For the 7th season, Kenobi is wearing the exact same thing he wears in Revenge of the Sith. So speaking of which, let's take a look at that minifigure. From Clone Wars Season 7, Revenge of the Sith, and also featuring in a flashback scene in the Bad Batch, we have our Revenge of the Sith Kenobi, which as far as Lego is concerned is perfect, though this one does have the burning and the wear and tear from the duel on Mustafar with Anakin, which is why Kenobi's not looking extremely happy. And if there was one thing I could do to this minifigure, it would be to give it dual molded legs. I like the dark tan printing for the underlegs there, but we need some dark red boots to match up to Kenobi's costume in the movie, And if LEGO don't give it anytime soon, perhaps that's something I will have to keep an eye out for. Tan legs with dark red boots. I wonder if there's any other characters that share this feature. We're rumoured to be getting Kenobi in a set later this year, the V19 Torrent with Asajj Ventress, and it is rumoured to be the 2003 Clone Wars Kenobi, which I'm just realising I've completely missed out on this list. I'm pretty sure it would take place just before the Clone Wars Kenobi. But if we don't get a 2003 Clone Wars Kenobi, I would prefer to get an accurate Revenge of the Sith one more than a Clone Wars version, because with all the tan robe Jedi I've got, that's one minifigure that's still missing from my collection. Now, I'm not entirely sure when the next two are meant to take place, but based on Kenobi's appearance, I'm assuming the Kenobi show is slightly before Rebels. So here I have my custom minifigure of, we all know the Kenobi figure with the glasses and the backpack that made it into the final scenes of the Kenobi show, with the sleeves cut off the robe and the under Jedi robe exposed. This one is the exact same torso and legs as the Attack of the Clones version, so is missing that hood on the back, though you can't see it with the hairpiece I've used. But I'm quite liking this minifigure because I didn't pick up any of the Kenobi sets. Maybe one day I'll have the other figures with the blue shirt, but all the other Kenobi costumes actually take place with this robe. We see the Jedi robes underneath reorganized with the brown robe on top. And I assume Kenobi probably has a few of these brown robes and tan underclothes, unless he just keeps washing the same one. But I found it interesting how they reorganized these exact pieces for most of the costumes in Kenobi. The next minifigure is from Star Wars Rebels, and it takes place during a very important duel with this minifigure down here. It's the first time I believe we see this old Ben style of Kenobi on our screens in Rebels, and to upgrade this minifigure, like I did in a video a while back, I've given Kenobi old Han's hair, this grey scruffed up hair, which I think does represent Alec Guinness a little more than the hairpiece they've been using for the last 25 years. Unlike the Attack of the Clones Kenobi, the legs are just fully tan. I don't think Alec Guinness's Kenobi is wearing as tall boots as Ewan McGregor's, so perhaps that's why they've gone with this tan, but it would have been nice to have seen some dark brown leg printing on the sides of these legs, and even dual molded legs for this version. Though we've only got one spot left on our Kenobi stand, I have included two minifigures to span the original trilogy. First up, we've got the regular Kenobi that if you've bought any of the many Luke's Landspeeders, you probably have a few of this character laying around. I believe these might be Tusken Raider legs that I've used to improve the figure, because this figure's quite an old one, but I do like the way the torso is styled differently from all of the other Kenobi figures. And then last but not least, representing Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, we have this Force Ghost minifigure. This is to show that a Force Ghost is well and truly possible. We've got translucent arms, translucent heads, and even though the torso, hip, hands, and hairpiece won't be translucent because LEGO try not to connect two translucent elements together, yes, they've done it in a handful of sets, but they try to keep that rule at least for the minifigures. I do think making it a pale blue, even a lighter blue like we've seen on my Luke Force Ghost minifigure, would work so well for a little gift with purchase with Anakin, Kenobi, and Yoda. I think this would look amazing. LEGO are still trying to get this Force Ghost minifigure into a set, and I think the solution is right here. But for now, this is all we've got for a Force Ghost Kenobi. Maybe I will try to decal this to look a little bit more like Kenobi, but this makes our 8th and final Kenobi minifigure. Here you can see all 8 of them on the display. I'm probably going to remove the Force Ghost minifigure when I get a second Maul, because I'm after one of the topless versions from the Clone Wars where he has the spider legs or the giant metal legs, and then a Maul minifigure from Rebels with the arm exposed, showing all of Maul's tattoos, and then the old Master clothes. On the left hand side, we've got Qui-Gon from Tales of the Jedi, which is using the old Qui-Gon torso and legs. And in the newer one, which I have given the reddish brown beard, we've got Maul from the Phantom Menace, and we've also got 2 Clone Wars variations of Maul, one with robotic legs and the other from Solo. You can see the pendant on the chest, which is the big difference between the two, slightly updated printing elsewhere. And later this year in the Darth Maul mech, we are meant to be getting this Clone Wars minifigure with the head from the recent Maul Infiltrator without the pupils. I think it's the right way to be going, especially for Dathomirians, but let me know what you think in the comments. Just before we place the Kenobi minifigures back, because I have used the second Attack of the Clones Kenobi for the Kenobi series version, I have changed my sig fig to wear the robes that were on my Kenobi series Kenobi, and to switch it up, I've given myself some white arms, which I think look really, really cool. And of course, we had to give ourselves some little companions. As I promised you a look at this display once I finished, it's been some hours since I recorded the last part of the video, but I finally have all my, again, not important minifigures, but you know what I mean, all the minifigures organized and bunched up. There's a few spaces, of course. Leia still needs so many more minifigures that I'm yet to collect. And top right, we've got a little section for Andor right at the top. I do want to make some custom minifigures for that. And the next Mandoverse step, likely the Mando movie. Maybe I can fit some Ahsoka Season 2 minifigures in there, or maybe some other content that Star Wars gives us. Visions or Tales of the Underworld that's coming out this May, or maybe something completely unrelated, but still somehow fits in the bracket of Lego Star Wars. I think I'm going to start bottom left. We got the space for 2 Kylo Rens. I couldn't find where I've put my Kylos, but we do have the custom Kylo from episode 9 with 3 Reys, 4 Finns, and 3 Poe Damerons. Next up, we've got our pilots, both Rebel and Imperial. Gotta get me some dual molded legs and printed arms for those Rebel pilots. We've got some other Rebels here as well, which bleeds into our Jedi and Sith. And of course, the Mos Eisley crew haven't changed. Then we go on to our main characters from the original trilogy and the prequels. Here we've got our Kenobis, and next to Kenobi, I'm most proud of this Yoda/Grogu one that I've reorganized. Need to get 2 heads for those Yodas in the back. I might even be able to add a 3rd tier if I change something up about the base. Like I said, we got the 2 empty ones, then we got the Mandoverse row at the bottom, and on the top, all the other characters, some of which aren't actual canon characters, like George Lucas and the other 3 actors up there. And then we've got our older figures, Old Republic, High Republic, and right at the start, the oldest of the bunch, the special minifigures released for the 20th LEGO Star Wars anniversary. This time next week, we'll actually be live talking about Star Wars Celebration whilst playing through the complete saga, so I hope to see some of you there. But if there are some minifigures that I don't have, that LEGO don't make, that you'd like to see me make here on the channel as custom minifigures, let me know in the comments. I did a community post as well a couple days ago. Feel free to comment on that, and hopefully you'll come back to see your creations made right here on the channel. Until then, may the bricks be with you always.